Okay, everybody, let's talk about this whole Washington, D.C. federalization thing that's going on right now.
Under the authorities vested in me as the President of the United States, I'm officially invoking Section 740 of the District of Columbia Home Rule Act. You know what that is? And placing the D.C. Metropolitan Police Department under direct federal control, and you'll be meeting the people that will be directly involved with that.
Okay, this is something that has been floating around quite a while now. I believe in Trump's first term, he wanted to do something similar to this, but never got to it. It's been speculating that this was going to happen, but this really picked up a lot of steam last week when we saw that Edward Korstein got attacked. If you guys don't know who that is, he's better known as Big Balls from Doge. Some people think that the Big Balls attack with the 8 to 10 teenagers, juveniles, was staged. I don't know. It could be, it could not be. It just seemed very oddly timed. And there are a few things about what was said, what happened, seemed very odd. Um, I just want to quickly go through them real quick. Is one is the picture itself. It's the only picture that we have of the whole incident, released by, oh, I'm sorry, taken by another Doge employee. Keep in mind, this happened Sunday, 3 a.m. Timing is kind of strange, but the picture itself, shirts off, right? Obviously, he took the shirt off for the picture because to show more, damage or, right? Because he's wearing a dark shirt. If he had the shirt on, it wouldn't look as you know theatric as this. So shirt's off, and you could see it's blood everywhere, and it's obviously he smeared it, smeared it everywhere, and then the white pants to help show more, blood. Okay, so there's that. There's no footage of this whole incident, so we have to go through and take his word for it. Keep in mind, in the age where everyone's got cameras, again, this happened at 3 a.m., you can kind of say, oh, there's no one around to video record this. But it's also the idea that this is in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C.'s got cameras everywhere. Okay, so the fact that we don't have footage of this, or maybe they do have footage, they just didn't release it. I don't know. This did just happen last week. It just seemed very odd that the timing of this situation, and now they're fast tracking the emergency declaration, which includes using the FBI on patrol runs.
And now the plans call for as many as 130 FBI agents to patrol the streets with DC police, which, to say the least, would be highly unusual.
Okay, this part is actually very interesting to me because when I think about the FBI, I think about them taking down like big crime, not like common street level stuff. I'm talking about going after dealers, going after criminal, underground rings, taking down white collar crime, just big crime, not street level stuff. But it seems like the FBI is being used to basically verify stolen license plates, just doing kind of like neighborhood watch kind of stuff. It doesn't seem like a very good use of FBI agent time. I mean, they could be going and looking into the Epstein files, but no, they're they're being used as neighborhood watch right now, which very interesting. I don't know. I thought that's very interesting.
All of this despite that the numbers don't necessarily match the rhetoric, that the stats and the data show that violent crime has dropped in D.C. compared to this time last year.
This part is actually very interesting as well. So Washington, D.C., like the government that runs Washington, D.C. itself, like police department and whatnot, are saying crime is actually down since 2023, right? It's gone down, like I believe like 7% or whatever, right? But during the same press conference, Trump says crime is actually up, and those numbers that everyone else is throwing around, they're all fake, and he's got the real numbers. And this is one thing I actually really hate, is kind of like the misinformation that's going back and forth because you don't know who to believe. Like, are you supposed to believe Washington DC, the city and the police department, or are you supposed to believe Donald Trump's, government regime, whatever you want to call it? Like, who are you supposed to believe here? What I actually like to watch is the interviews with people that actually live in the areas, right? And for Washington D.C., I've seen a mixed bag. I've seen people say that it's fairly safe. It's like any other city that you're in, right? There are good parts and there are bad parts. And then I've seen some people say that it's a hellhole filled with like criminals and like homeless encampments everywhere and graffiti and whatever. It looks like trash. And I feel like it's a little mix of both. And this is where I feel like what's going on. And this is just my theory on what is happening right now, or at least what is the ideal or the plan. I feel like a bunch of things are connected together. The big balls carjacking situation that happened, the White House $200 million ballroom that's being built, and the whole roof thing, Trump on the roof situation that happened last week. I feel like all these things are connected together with the takeover of the DC area, at least the federalizing of the police departments and deploying the National Guard into the area.
In addition, I'm deploying the National Guard to help reestablish law, order, and public safety in Washington, D.C., and they're going to be allowed to do their job properly.
Okay, now why I say all these things are connected is because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a billionaire, okay? And at least in my understanding of how billionaires work, at least of like, seeing them, interacting with them and whatnot, they care a lot about aesthetics. And from what we've seen about Donald Trump, he cares about perception and aesthetics. He's about, gold this, gold that, needs to be gold leaf, whatever. And you're thinking to yourself, oh, why would you waste money on a $200 million ballroom that no one really asked for? Well, you gotta understand, he is a billionaire. That's not how they think. It's like saying, oh, why would you waste money on a Rolls Royce? A car is a car. You can drive I don't know, a Honda or whatever, right? But no, they gotta buy a Rolls Royce. So he does the same thing, but it's about perception, image, class. You know what I mean? So he's tired of other leaders coming over and looking around, especially in the capital, where you see like homeless encampments, trash, graffiti everywhere. If you look at his posts, right, he's complaining a lot about the homeless encampments that are in the area. Like he's saying, this place looks like trash. It could be so much nicer. And Donald Trump was on the roof of the White House last week, and everyone's speculating, what is he doing up there? Some people are saying he's building nuclear missiles, whatever. No, no, no. Now that more I think about it, okay, he was with the architect, the guy that's in charge of building the $200 million ballroom for the White House. I feel like Donald Trump, keep in mind, he's a developer, right? He sees things. Right? He's a construction guy. He's up there. He's surveying what can you see from the White House. Oh, there's a homeless encampment over there. Oh, there's a wall full of graffiti over there. Oh, there's this and that over there. Got it. Mental note. Take care of those areas. Why? Because the ballroom is getting built. And what is the purpose of the ballroom? Is to bring in other world leaders to show off, right? Remember, he's a billionaire. Billionaires, multimillionaires, they love to show off. That's one of the things, right? Like Donald Trump went to the other countries and they showed off their area. Like you think about like Beijing or Saudi Arabia, their capitals, their main areas are immaculate, right? And then when people come here, there's like homeless encampments and whatnot everywhere. And it's like embarrassing. Think about it. You got to look at it from the mind of a really rich guy. It's about perception, image. And it doesn't look good when you're trying to negotiate. These are the intangibles that some people don't consider. You know, when you come over, you're trying to negotiate, and you're like, you hear the police sirens. You know, like you remember the footage from the roof as he's talking. There's like police sirens going on.
Mr. President, what are you doing up there? Taking a little walk. Come out and talk to us.
It doesn't look good. And where it's connected to the big balls thing is that this all really fast tracked after the big balls attack. It's a weird sentence to say, but that literally is where this really started going. And so that's where some people are saying that, hey, that whole thing looks staged. And I don't know, it seems kind of odd that that happened. And then the roof thing happened. The ballroom's getting built, right? And it seems like this is an actual effort to kind of like fast track the cleanup for the ballroom. This is what I'm saying. I feel like all this is done for the ballroom. Okay. Well, some people think that this is all being done so when his second term ends, he doesn't have to leave. I don't know. What do you guys think?